If you were going to tattoo Sean, what would you tattoo on him?
I would tattoo him a skulls flaming down in lava.
Wait, what was going on?
It's always something crazy there every week.
Last night?
So last night, one of the guys basically is going through a breakup with this chick.
One of the tattoo artists?
This guy. And the girl is like psycho. And she she called the shop like every 5 minutes and would let it ring 2 times and then she would hang up. So the phone was ringing all night, which is really super annoying.
Yeah.
And
you can't just leave
funny.
it off the hook because it's an actual walk-in shop.
Yeah, and we're trying to still get business, right?
Yeah.
And plus we have to actually call it in case it is somebody. So it's just super annoying. So Rocco made answer the phone all night, basically. So it felt like one of those telethon things.
And did she say anything on the other side? Or she was just like...
just silent.
Just to fuck with him.
Yeah. And then she ordered like a whole bunch of pizzas, man, from Domino's to the shop. And I don't even know you could still do that.
Did she pay for them?
No.
Oh, you mean like cash on delivery? Mm-hmm. Wow, that's some old school pranks.
Yeah.
Or be like, I'll just give you cash when you get
And
here.
so like Rocco was like, what the fuck? He's like, well, I'm not buying all of them, but I'll buy like half of them. So
right.
Then Rocco is just giving people pizza all night that were walking by the shop.
I forgot about that, ordering pizzas.
so
people. Yeah, you used to pay them when they got to your door.
Mm-hmm. Cash on delivery.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could still do that, but.
Wow. Yeah. I wonder if it'll work. I wonder if he'll get back together with her. Imagine after all that.
Oh,
he's like, okay, fine, I do love you.
So like when I got there, I was like, who's that Arabian guy that Rocco's talking to? Because there's this guy with a scarf all over him. And then I didn't realize it was because the girl like scratched him all up and he was embarrassed. And I was like, dude, like,
wow.
It's like, that's not like, I was like,
scars are cool.
Yeah, don't worry about it, bro. Everybody's
She clawed his face up.
I knew. I was like, dude, you got in a cat fight, huh?
Man. Well, thanks for sitting down. We had an interview set up, but the guy bailed on us. So I had such a good time last time talking about tattoo stories, and I just thought we'd do it again.
Cool.
And chat about it. I'm trying to think.
I mean, Gil the Drill, Monty had the best name, I feel like.
Gil the Drill is really good.
Yeah, that is so sick.
Tom
For a
Slick.
tattoo name.
Tom Slick is one of my favorite tattoo names
I had a cat
ever.
named Tom Slick.
Really?
Yeah.
After Tom Slick? Or did you just happen to name it Tom Slick?
I don't even know who Tom Slick is.
Tom Slick's a fucking legendary tattooer from like Oregon back in the day. Like one of the most badass people ever.
This is like when I was a kid, so obviously I didn't know that. But my uncle had a cat named Tom Slick, and I thought that was a cool name. So I named this cat because it looked like that cat.
Yeah.
Tom Slick.
No, Tom Slick, I'll tell you, like, this is one of my favorite Tom Slick stories, was he tattooed up in Oregon. And again, if anybody actually knows Tom or is a friend, Tom's dead now. But don't be like, it didn't happen. It's fucking urban legend. Tom Slick. But story goes, Tom Slick worked in the same way tattoo shops would be opening around like army bases, because like, army bases, they get these paychecks 1st and 15th of every month. There's nowhere to spend the money because you're on a base. So they'll just like open a tattoo shop across the street and like 1st and 15th, you're flooded with business. And anyway, Tom did the same thing, but it was up in Oregon by these like lumbering towns. So all these lumberjacks would come out there, to work seasonally for the season. And they're just living in trailers or tents in the woods and nothing to do. And then the 1st and 15th would come around. They'd have a paycheck burning a hole in their pocket and be like, all right, let's go get tattooed. Anyway, one day at Tom's shop, it was, one of those nights where everybody was getting paid. The waiting room was packed with people. They were just like a line out the door. And, everybody was tattooing. Even the apprentice was like catching some business. And this one guy, this big old drunk lumberjack, was getting impatient. And And the counter guy was like trying to manage it, and he's like, look, like I know you want this eagle, but like it's gonna be about 2 or 3 hours before we can get to you. And he's like, I want it now. And he's like, well, if you want it sooner, our apprentice Terry can do it right now. He's the apprentice, but like the owner Tom stands behind his work. If you're not happy with it, like Tom will fix it. We vouch for it, and we'll make it right if you're nervous about getting tattooed by him. And Tom, the owner, was not a big guy, but like solid. He was like short but dense, and had this sort of like stoic composure that just, you could just tell, like, you don't mess with Tom. Like everyone who knew him like had this sort of like hushed respect for Tom. You just don't mess with Tom.
Yeah.
And anyway, this guy didn't want to wait in line, so he was like, fine, I'll have the apprentice do it. But he's like, if you fuck it up, I'll kick your ass. And and Terry, got set up, ready to go. He made a stencil for the eagle, and this guy sits in the chair, and he was just razzing Terry, the apprentice. He was just like, but really, if you fuck this up, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna take you out back. And it got to be so bad that like Terry was like shaking. Terry was like super nervous, and Tom clocked this. Like, he saw what was going on, and he had just finished his tattoo. And
Like, what kind of guy would do that while you're turning it into a tattoo?
dude, some fucking like drunk lumberjack, just like you're gonna get
You're already under pressure.
Yeah, he's like, I'm just gonna intimidate you even more. And anyway, Tom clocked this, and he goes over there and he sees Terry all kind of like shaking and sweating, and he's like, Terry, I got this. Don't worry. You go take care of the next guy. I'll take care of this one. He's like, okay, thanks. And so Tom sits down, and he gets the stencil ready. He's getting set up, and the lumberjack says to him, he's like, all right, cool. You're gonna do this, right? He's like, because if you fuck it up, I got to take you out back. And Tom like put his machine down, and he was like, why don't we go out back right now? Let's just so we can, focus on this. Let's go get it out of the way. Let's go out back, and that way we can get it all. We get what we need to out of the way, and then we could sit down and do a nice tattoo. And he was like, no, I'm just fucking with you, man. I'm just fucking with you. I'm sure you'll do a great job. Like, you go ahead. He's like, okay, can we do this now? He's like, yeah, go ahead. And so he puts the eagle stencil on his arm, looks in the mirror, he likes it, sits back down. Tom picks his machine up, hits the switch, like, dips it in ink, grabs him by the arm, cranks it up, and then just buries it in his arm and carves in SHIT. And then puts his machine down, pulls a shotgun out from underneath, and he's like, there. Now what the fuck are you going to do about it? And it was like, and the guy just like tucked his tail and like ran out. And but that was Tom Slick. Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, but yeah, I got to think of a story for this guy.
That's awesome, man. Tom Slick is cool.
Oh, dude, he's a legend. There's so many good. Maybe next time we'll get into Tom Slick stories. That'll be or maybe this is the Tom Slick episode. Maybe I should just tell all the Tom Slick legends on this one.
Yeah, what's another one?
There's another one, Tom.
Like, my cat's wasn't nearly that tough, so it's like
Tom Slick. There's I should get Chris Kahn in here because he actually knew Tom Slick. These are all just secondhand stories that I've heard from various people that I won't incriminate by putting them in the middle. But Tom was, like I said, small guy, but like he was like military. He was one of those like old gentleman tattooers who would wear like a crisp white shirt with a tie tucked into his shirt. Made his bed every morning. You could bounce a quarter off his sheets. Like, really very organized, regimented. Did a lot of speed though. Was into meth, and he, like, one of the things that like Tom Slick did was he would every tattooer in the 80s was really into tax evasion, and so it was all cash. So Tom had to navigate having all this cash and keeping it hidden. And what he did was in the back of the tattoo shop were all the supplies, like, needles, needle tubes. There was a little like needle making station. And, like this was back when like we had to make our own pigment. So there was all like pigment blenders and stuff like that. Anyway, there was this locked cabinet where we kept all the Vaseline. It was just tubs and tubs of Vaseline. And apparently that's where he would hide all his cash. Like he would take rolls of $100 bills and, roll them up into a roll, put a rubber band on it, put it in like a sandwich bag, and then empty out all the Vaseline tubs. And he'd put it in the bottom of the Vaseline, and then he'd melt the Vaseline on the stove and then pour it back into the tub. Wow. So you had this, if you opened it, it was brand new, perfect, untouched jar of Vaseline, but there was like $5,000 rolled up in the bottom of it.
Wow.
And so he kept it like places like, he had all this like money stashed in weird places around his house and the shop. And anyway, there was one Tom Slick story was about, he hated everyone. He was just like angry, bitter, racist, like hated homeless people, hated black people, hated Mexicans, hated anyone that wasn't like a white, upstanding, professional citizen, and even hated young people, like kids, couldn't stand kids. And his shop was like in this strip mall in, I don't know if it was in Portland or outside of Portland, but it was in Oregon. And one day, it was like parking lot out back, tattoo shop, and then like the door out front. But one day he was standing outside the front of the shop and smoking a cigarette, like propped the door open, was out there enjoying the sunshine, smoking a cigarette. And it must have been like the last day of school or something. School had just let out because there were all these like kids kind of hooting and hollering and driving around. Anyway, this car full of teenagers drives by, and one of them throws a book out the window of the car, and it hits Tom in the back of the head while he's smoking a cigarette. And he's just fucking fuming. Like, he flicks the cigarette out, clocks his car going down the street, goes inside, pulls a revolver out of the drawer of his station, goes out back, gets in his car, and peels off. And he chases this car down the street, 4 or 5 blocks till he finally catches up with him in the red light. He pulls off to the side, pulls up next to him, unloads all 6 shots into the car, and then pulls back around, drives back to the shop. And so he gets to the shop, backs his car in, leaves the engine running, opens the back door, props it open with a brick. He goes into the back room, puts all the Vaseline jars in a big black garbage bag, goes to his station, takes all his machines out, puts it in his briefcase, and goes and puts everything in the trunk of his car. And he sits there at the back door of the shop with the door open, car running, everything in it, just chain smoking. And he just sits there smoking and listening for about 10 minutes. And after 10 minutes, he didn't hear any sirens, nothing. So then he turns off the car, takes the garbage bag out, puts all the Vaseline back in the cabinet, puts the gun back in the drawer, and goes back to work. And apparently he killed one of the kids that was in the car.
Oh, shit.
But he never got arrested for it or anything. But yeah, he had a real short fuse.
Tom was crazy. So he just like blankly shot at the car?
Yeah, just shot at this car driving by. And but yeah, apparently he killed one of the kids. But
damn.
Who knows? Yeah, that was like
that was back in the 80s
of tattooing. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the early 80s.
Yeah.
But he's one of those. I mean, Tom died of like heart issues that probably came from doing so much meth. But that was yeah. Otherwise, I would not be telling that story.
That's a crazy one. Wow. Well, I didn't mean to steer the
this is good.
Subject off course.
No, it's great. Do
you got any more Tom Slick stories?
Any more Tom Slick stories? There's I don't know. I mean, do you have any? Like, wow, do you work any of the old school guys that you work with over the years?
Yeah, I mean, I still work with old school guys that all, carry pieces and shit.
Yeah.
I feel like it's becoming less and less though with,
Yeah.
the change and the newer generation being sort of anti-guns, but
I mean, I feel like, but that was also, I mean, I don't know. I grew up in New Orleans and like the South where like there were lots of guns around. You know what I mean? Like in New Orleans.
same.
Like,
I mean, I grew up in Texas and everybody carried a gun. My grandma carried a gun.
Yeah. Like you don't honk your horn because somebody might shoot at you for doing it. And
it was rude to, yeah. But
I definitely, I mean, there was, you felt it a lot. And definitely in tattoo culture, like we had a gun at every station, when I started tattooing.
Yeah.
That was just a part of your equipment. But then I moved to New York where like guns weren't really around, and it was like I loved it. Like it felt so like you didn't have to worry about getting shot in New York City. It was like post Giuliani New York City anyway. But like even you go to a bar and get in an argument, the worst thing that's going to happen is you're just going to get a busted lip or like a broken nose.
You can't even do that anymore though, really.
Can't even punch people
fight
anymore.
Anybody anymore, yeah.
Yeah. Which maybe it's not a bad thing.
Yeah. But I do feel like sometimes there's a lack of people getting this aggression out, especially with men. I feel like they get a lot of pent up aggression that they need to take out. So that's why
it's definitely, it's definitely, I feel like confusing to a lot of guys on like, how do you be masculine without being toxic?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like if, there is toxic masculinity, but like, how do you be a man without,
or just even why it's like some weird thing about being a man even,
Tat stories. What are some other characters in the tattoo world of tattooers doing just crazy shit in the old days?
Just like stuff that everybody already knows about, really, that I know about old school guys, like Lyle Tuttle stories and shit like that. But,
I mean, but even like,
have you heard the Philip Liu one?
No, Philip Liu's a legend, but like,
I don't even know if I'm allowed to tell this one though, because it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one's pretty crazy.
He lives in Switzerland. He can't get arrested.
Basically, this is another like folklore legend thing, because like everybody's always talking about like, a big question that I've gotten a lot throughout my career is, has anybody ever died from tattoos or whatever, or getting tattooed?
Yeah.
And from what I know, the one like story that always sticks out was this story about Philip Liu. So Philip Liu is, for all those who don't know, is like a really, amazing tattoo artist that kind of was like just doing these insanely large pieces on people, and he would do it very quickly.
Yeah, like
because
Philip Liu was like he invented like European tattooing.
Yeah.
Whereas like where Ed Hardy is like the godfather of Americana tattooer. Like Philip Liu, I can't even tell you how many times I have like traveled to shops around the world when I was learning tattoos. Somebody would like show me a trick. They'd be like, oh, well, Philip Liu does it like this. And Philip, he hangs his needles out like this, or he mixes his grays. This is the Philip. And like his
whole family too.
Like, they were like these gypsy wandering tattoo.
Exactly.
The whole
They're
family was
gypsies,
tattooed,
right?
like real gypsies. And but like any Philip Liu trips were just like, oh my gosh, Philip Liu does that? Okay, let me try it.
He was a magic man, definitely. And but like, so people would fly in to get tattooed by him and get these like insanely large scale pieces from him, like very quickly, because they were visiting.
And he was known to be like the fastest.
And he was
like he would do a back piece faster than anybody.
Yeah, but it was like, you had to like really endure like a lot of trauma and torture to get these pieces, right?
Yeah.
So apparently, as the story goes, and like there's like a lot of stories where like, you know, like people would have hard times and shit, and he would have to like throw him in the shower and slap him around a little bit to like,
Because they start going into shock.
Yeah, to get him to be able to finish some of these pieces, man, because they were very, very. This is before numbing cream and shit, and or you know, I guess now they just like put people under or whatever. But anyways, he was tattooing this guy, and apparently the guy had some previous health issues with like his blood or something like that.
Yeah.
But anyways, as the story goes, basically the guy had some sort of blood infection, and he was getting tattooed by Philip Liu several days in a row, and he basically he died while Philip Liu was tattooing him.
Like on the table.
Yeah, and Philip Liu was tattooing him for a good like half hour, an hour before he even noticed that the guy was
Before
dead.
he felt him stiffening up.
Yeah, and you know, he just kind of like started, you know, kind of nudging him, and the guy didn't move. So Philip Liu was like, "Oh fuck, man, this guy is fucking kicked over, right?"
Yeah.
So, being that they're like, you know, these cool gypsy family, they just fucking like took the body and just dispersed it somewhere,
Just rolled it out the back door.
basically.
Yeah.
But that was like, from what I you know that when people say like, can anybody, you know, get killed from tattooing, I'm like, well, apparently Philip Liu killed somebody, you know, tattooed him to death, basically.
But also, I mean, like, you could have a heart attack at any moment.
True.
You get tattooed for 12 hours straight. That moment might happen during those 12 hours.
And it may seem morbid, but that's kind of cool that, like, it's like, I fucking killed somebody because I tattooed her to death.
I remember in like Brooklyn or Queens when I was living in New York, I remember reading an article about how, and because people were like, "Oh, did you hear that person that died getting tattooed?" But it was a different thing. Like, you know, like we have customers get lightheaded and pass out all the time.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
And once you've been doing it long enough, like you can tell when someone's about to pass out. You know, like you can kind of feel it. Their skin will get a little cold and clammy, and like you could see their face go pale, and you'd be like, "Oh, let's take a break." You know what I mean? Like, and lay them down, and you know,
become a professional at it.
Yeah, the rule, like you never let them stand up. You know, because it's like
because then they could fall down and hit their head, and then they really could die.
But there was a person in Queens who, same thing, you know, some like young whippersnapper tattoo, and their customer's feeling kind of queasy, and he was like, "Oh, well, you know, get up, walk around," and they stood up and took a couple steps and went headfirst through like the jewelry case that held all their piercing jewelry. Oh. And it slit their throat on the plate glass, and they bled to death and died.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, I got a funny story about that. I mean, the first time that happened to me, when I was, you know...
The first time you had a customer die?
No, just somebody that passed out.
Passing out, yeah.
I thought that I killed him. Like, this girl went into a seizure, and I was so terrified. I was like, oh my God, I just killed this girl, right? But then I later found out that she just has seizures. Plus, she was... For all people that don't know, whenever your endorphins kick in, your blood sugar drops, which is one of the number one causes of why people get lightheaded or whatever.
Yeah.
But one time, my buddy Johnny was tattooing this girl, and the girl watching passed out.
Oh my God.
And she fell onto him, and he was like tattooing, and like the girl like passed out and fell onto him, and he was just like, ah, and like basically like was trying to crush the machine into her friend who was getting the tattoo.
Oh my God.
So I had to like run over there and like grab her off.
Yeah.
But that was the funniest pass out because it wasn't even the person getting tattooed, it was the person watching.
There was one time I was in Spain, and this guy, Max, was tattooing. He was tattooing this little kind of like bubbly Spanish girl, and she was sweet, but like kind of annoying. She had this little like Mickey Mouse voice, and you know, he was tattooing her lower back, so she was like bent over. And it was funny. I actually remember it was ridiculous. I felt so bad. I was making fun of her for a second. You know, like me and this one guy were the only Americans there and the only people that spoke English. So we would just we got really comfortable just like talking shit about everyone in English because nobody else understood. And this girl was like, quiero poquito más abajo aquí. And I like, and I started kind of like mocking her in like this Mickey Mouse voice. I was like, and I was like, oh wait, that translates into Spanish. Like when anyway, I got in trouble for it. And I had to like make it. I was like, no, not you. It was somebody else. Anyway, this girl was getting tattooed on her lower back, and she had a little chupa chup, like a sucker, and she was like talking and talking and talking, and then all of a sudden it was just quiet, and it was like, oh, it's nice in here. I was like, what? And
She's choking.
And I look over and like her sucker's gone, and like vomit is coming out of her nose. You know what I mean? It just like kind of looks like saliva. So I was like, oh shit! And like Max noticed it. Anyway, like got up, gave her the Heimlich maneuver, and that sucker and like a bunch of vomit came like flowing out of her. And yeah, and she came back around. She was fine. But she took the day off. Yeah.
I've projectile vomited in a shop before.
Really? Getting tattooed or doing tattoos?
Yeah, getting tattooed.
Yeah.
Just getting, when I was getting all my stars and dots filler on my legs at this shop. This was in Brooklyn at Magic Cobra, the shop I worked at for about, I don't know, it wasn't very long, maybe like 6 months. And yeah, man, I just like all the trauma. It was, I don't know if people have ever gotten little stars and dot filler, but it hurts so bad.
Really? It's supposed to be like the easy, like... Yeah.
Because it's like you're getting it everywhere, and it's just like, all over, though. Like, heavily. Like, I had all my whole legs, like, filled in. And I think I was drinking a little bit of beer, too, and that probably didn't help. But just, like, projectile vomited. I tried to get into the sink, and it just, like, I was, like, Exorcist, just, like... went sideways, all over the wall, and just like...
Yeah, I've had a couple clients like, piss themselves. I had one guy who shit himself, but it was like karma. He was a horrible person. It was like...
This is gonna be a good episode.
But this is what, he like... I remember it was like in San Francisco, late 90s, like .com boom, and he was this drunk, arrogant prick who was just like so flashy, like showing, just like bragging about how rich he was. He's like, he just started this like some .com company. It was back when like .com just referred to the internet in general. And he had this little logo, and I remember he's like, I'm gonna make so many millions of dollars this company. I want this logo on my ass, like underneath my wallet, right where like I keep my money. He's like, I want this. He didn't have any tattoos. And I was just like, wow, what a beautiful gesture. Like, you're really, what a heartwarming reason to get a tattoo.
Yeah.
Do you need to swap it?
No, you're good.
Okay. But then of course, I'm like, all right, like it'll be $100. He's like, $100, come on. Like, can you do it for 80? And I was like, you just told me you're making millions of dollars and you're complaining about $100 tattoo. Finally he like agrees to pay $100. And but I remember he like wanted to get his ass tattooed, but he wouldn't take his pants off. And I was like, I can't get to your ass unless you like. Anyway, he ended up taking his pants down a little bit and then trying to straddle this chair, and he was so wasted and that he ended up like passing out before he even got to do the like I got the stencil on him. He tried to sit in the chair. He passed out on the floor with his pants halfway down and then shit all over my floor. And I was like, I told his friends, I was like, you need to get him the fuck out of here. And so that night I just got paid $100 to clean up a grown man's shit.
Ugh.
Oh, you know what? Here's going back to like Tom Slick. Here's like, so, you get the sense. He's this angry, racist, like meth head, 80s tough guy tattooer, but very strict, very regimented, and hated everything in the world except for one thing. Like there was one thing that he loved, like where he truly felt like himself. And Tom, every Wednesday, the shop closed early. Shop was open till like, 10, 11 o'clock, except for Wednesdays. It closed at 7 o'clock. And every Wednesday at 7 o'clock, he would close the shop early and he would pull out this bag from the closet. And it was like this black, shiny, like kind of doctor's bag looking thing. And he would pull out two. Are you okay? Okay. Let me know when you're done. Okay. Anyway. What is this? Anyway, every Wednesday, he would close the shop early. And he'd go in the closet and he'd pull out this black leather bag, and pull out a pair of shiny patent leather roller skates with bright purple wheels.
Oh my God.
And he would sit there and he would get out the shoe polish. He would shine these roller skates like they were his firstborn children. Like he cared for them so like intimately. And he would go to the local roller rink, and they had roller skate ballroom dancing every Wednesday night. And he had this group of like people that he would just do roller skate ballroom dancing with every Wednesday. And it was the one thing in his whole world that was like sacred and holy.
And he had purple wheels.
With purple wheels, yeah.
I like the purple wheels.
But I always thought about that. I'm like, see, there's always like, even in the toughest guys, there's softness in there somewhere.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
The legend of Tom Slick.
Yeah, he's a good one.
Dude, since I stopped smoking weed, my memory is just like so fucked up. It's
Really?
so
You think
weird.
it's gotten worse?
Yeah.
Huh.
And by the way, I only smoked weed one time. That was last week.
Yeah.
Because I was working on Tyler's bike.
Yeah.
And I was like, we were kind of having trouble. We were trying to extract a bolt that snapped. And then we snapped the extractor in there.
Right.
And so on the way to Home Depot, I was like, dude, like if we can't get it out, like I'll smoke a joint with you when we watch our motorcycle movie. Right.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get it out. So I smoked like a few hits while we were watching Angels Die Hard, which is a sick ass motorcycle movie, right? From the 70s. And man, I was so high, I could barely pay attention to the movie.
Okay. I'm just like,
dude,
don't go back.
My tolerance is gone now.
Great.
I was like flying.
Yeah.
I felt like Ice Cube and Friday, you know? like everything was talking to me and shit. It's like, fucking hell, dude. But I haven't smoked since then. I'm trying to just like...
No, I'm cheerleading for sober Sean.
Yeah.
I'll never be disappointed in you, but I just like...
Well, it's kind of also, that was the same day that incident happened with that dog. And I was like, dude, I just like feel edgy. I just need to like take the edge off. But well, the craziest thing about the dead guy was that he was tattooing him for a while he was dead.
I could almost see Philip like finishing it, even like finding out he's dead and being like, I just put 12 hours into this. I'm at least going to finish it and get the photo.
Yeah.
You know? Like there's part of me that I would be torn.
Who knows?
Like if someone died on the table and I just spent like 8 hours pouring my heart into this thing, I'm like, let me just finish it and at least take a picture of it. You know, like
so like when they took the photo, the guy's just like laying on the ground, like face down.
Yeah.
It's like,
and just like call the cops afterward. That's fine. Yeah.
Dude, but Philip Blue is so sick. His dad was a really badass tattooer too, and his mom kind of revolutionized a lot of the like a lot of old tribal like Burma and like all that old stuff back in the day. But yeah, man, his gypsies are fucking cool, man.
Even like I feel like European style tattooing like came out of that family or was at least heavily influenced by it. Yeah.
I feel like gypsies are and pirates.
But I don't know. I don't know if we're
tattooers.
allowed to say gypsies. Are we? I don't think so.
Really?
I don't know. But they. I mean, like Philip referred to himself as a gypsy, but I don't. You know, like. I don't know. I don't know what we're allowed to do. Whoever's editing this, just bleep it out if we'll get canceled for saying that word. But anyway, like.
Okay, so there's like some gypsies right down the street from Tattoo Mania.
Yeah.
And I've even called them gypsies before. They've even called themselves gypsies.
Yeah.
So I think it's okay.
Okay. No, I'm saying like, I mean, I've heard, yeah.
I like, I I like was playing CeeLo with them, and I actually won a bunch of money off these gypsy dudes.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And their mom has been fortune teller there since I've been at Tattoo Mania for like the past 10 years at least, plus who knows how long. But she's so cool, and I've like tattooed her whole family. But they're just like so cool, man. Like gypsies are always like, to me, it's like kind of like hand in hand with like pirates and like tattooers and stuff like that, because you travel, you know, you kind of deal with like just like cash only.
I mean, it's such a romantic lifestyle. Yeah. It really is. I mean, I wish my heritage had something as interesting. You know, being just a mutt.
What would you
American.
even call them then if you can't call them gypsies?
I don't know. I don't know what the term is. I'll look it up. I mean, it's fine. We're gonna get canceled just for breeding. So
For saying.
Doesn't matter.
Talking about Tom Slick.
He's dead. We're allowed to tell the stories once they're dead. All right, awesome. I'm gonna go get ready to tattoo this guy. But thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
We'll do it again.
Anytime.
Any closing wisdom? Anything to put a button on the end? It's all on you.
We're just making a tattoo, folks. We're not making history.
It's a good, I have to remind my clients all the time. I was like, we're not curing cancer.
Yeah.
We're just carving a skull in
Same
your arm.
heart surgery.
Yeah. Let's see. I feel like it would be fun. I feel like, because I like the idea of you coming on here regularly. I feel like we need to come up with a question that like I ask you every time.
Like a word of the day type thing.
Yeah. Or just like, yeah. Maybe it's just, what's the last movie you watched? You always watch cool movies.
That would be Angels Die Hard.
Angels Die Hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's from 1970, and it was amazing. All the motorcycle movies that have funerals involved, which there's quite a few.
Yeah.
They're always the best.
Huh.
They this guy was in Kern County, and he gets run off the road by this police chief because the police chief's daughter was like flirting with him or whatever.
Yeah.
And so his buddies bury him, and it's funny, they become friends with the funeral parlor guy. He's like a creepy, like Crispin Glover looking guy, and he like becomes friends with the bikers. Like it's just like a cool thing that the bikers would be friends with like the death guy.
Yeah.
Because the death guy, like, oh man, these guys I could make a lot of money with, or even though they don't have a lot of money actually, but they get like a pine casket.
Returning customers, yeah.
And they put their friend in a pine casket, and one of them's got one of Ed Roth's trikes that he built, which is so intimidating and sick looking. Yeah. And they're just like pulling him down the highway, and with the coffin just is doing this, and like all the bikes next to it, like going down the highway. It's very, very cool.
That's rad.
And then once they bury him, they all did like a classic Hell's Angels send off where they all piss on him and shit. Yeah. Which is pretty cool.
Damn.
The kind of G.G. Allen style send off.
But this is scripted like a movie, not a documentary. Yeah.
But very cool movie.
Yeah.
Check it out.
All right. Good talk. All right, cool. Yeah, I'm going to go get ready for my guy. Thanks, homie.
Awesome. See you later.
You're the best. Appreciate it.
Anytime.